The government believes there will be a hiring blitz to end the year. Joining me live now is Evan Lucas, Chief Market Strategist at InvestSMART. Evan, good to see you again. So will this be the spark that's needed in wage growth, which has been stagnant for so long?
And still remains stagnant, Pete. It will certainly help areas that were flat in terms of what we saw yesterday with the wage price index. So that the hiring freezes that's going to come, that blitz that they're talking about, is going to be in tourism, in hospitality, in industries that have been absolutely decimated from being locked down on and off for the last 20 months. And that's where it's coming. That's where they expect it to drive into. The reason that's interesting is that if you look yesterday, those sectors, the wage increase that they had was about 1% year on year. Overall, 2.2% year growth in wages isn't bad. It's certainly better than what we saw pre-pandemic. But you need to remember that 2.2% compared to the current inflation rate, and we need to look at the headline inflation rate because that includes food and fuel, which sits at 3.6, means that realistically we're still not seeing any meaningful wage growth that actually sees us going forward. The part to that comes in is you also then look at housing. Don't forget, housing is growing at about 1% per month, not per year, per month. And that's this question that we keep asking about: how long can it keep going? And again, it also means that take-home pay that we have, which is under pressure from pricing, means that the discretionary spend that we need for those jobs, hospitality, going out and having all those kind of things, tourism, going on a holiday, etc., also gets questioned if the normal basic things we need to operate is costing us more and more.
The fact that when it comes to housing, though, Evan, don't you agree that the fact that the RBA governor said yesterday or the day before that eventually interest rates or rates will get to 2.5%, which is a fair way off where we are at the moment. That's going to cool things, isn't it, when it comes to those huge prices for housing? Because, obviously people will start to get a little bit concerned about the extra money that they've got to pay on their mortgages.
It will certainly cool it. You've also looked at it from the point of view that to get to 2.5% in terms of where the official cash rate would require wages to be growing about 3.5%, 4% on pretty much almost a 12-month consistent number to really get that up there, because that would be reining in inflation that would probably be running at about 3 to 3.2%, maybe even higher to sort of get towards that. And as I said, that to get to 2.5% will take considerable time. The other thing to answer that question that's really interesting is that there's a whole generation of homeowners that have never experienced a rate rise. The last time we actually saw the RBA increase rates was back in 2011. And we're now in 2021, we're going into 2022, and it's argued that we may not even see one next year. So it could be 11 years since we've seen a movement up in rates. We've seen a lot go down, but we haven't seen a movement up. So we haven't experienced that. So their argument that there is even a slight increase will shock people because they've never experienced it. But to get to 2.5%, that requires an incredible amount of inflation, an incredible amount of wage growth, which would mean we'd be growing at such a rapid rate that we haven't really seen that in the post-GFC world, let alone the post-pandemic world.
Good point, Evan. Wages yesterday reached pre-pandemic levels, but did we really see our pay packets expand, though?
No, we didn't. And that's the argument here, is that actually technically the majority of us, including the fact that they showed that services industries, so white-collar industries, actually grew by 3.4%. Inflation's at 3.6%. And that's what we call real wage growth. So once you take into inflation off what you got, those that actually saw the biggest increase year on year of 3.4 technically went backwards by 0.2 of 1%, let alone the fact that the overall population only saw 2.2% increase versus 3.6. So you're seeing that basically your take-home packet's actually gone backwards in terms of where it is. So there is still a long way to go before we actually suggest that you're doing the right, you're actually growing your pay packet, you're seeing your take-home pay packet increasing to a level that makes it sustainable, and that's the RBA's argument, and why at the moment the RBA believes that increasing interest rates is not going to happen next year. Some still believe it, but most say that it's just not going to happen until wages start picking up some slack.
Evan, always good to chat to you. We'll talk to you soon. Breaks it all
Thanks,
down
Pete.
for us so simply.